My name is Ari Bader-Nightel, and I'm going to be talking about a project that I've been working on recently called Studio Sketchpad, and also a little bit about a class that I helped to organize that was using Sketchpad as a basis for some people who are interested in learning to program. So what Sketchpad is sort of a mashup between Etherpad and processing, or the JavaScript port of processing. Etherpad's a really nice collaborative document editor, and processing.js is a language for writing visualizations, and this is a port that runs in your browser. So for those of you familiar with Etherpad, parts of this look familiar. The text is color-coded by which person writes this. So if I switch to Safari, you can see here's two people editing the same document, and I can change the background to white. Okay, and so the idea is that multiple people can be working on code at the same time. Okay, so let's talk about where this gets interesting. Okay, so this right here is the same sketch showed after the fact. And the thing that I think is interesting about this is if you're going through someone's code as they're writing it, most of the time code doesn't actually work. Most of the time there's some sort of syntax error or something like that, and it's only occasionally that you have the semicolon and everything in place. So so what you see at the top here on the time slider is basically every time when we were actually writing this code that we make a change and we're happy with that change and re-render it, that's what makes a new marker. So basically the idea is when you, as someone who's writing this, have a sense that it's at a place that you think might be nice, that's how this happens. And that way, when you're going through this, you can navigate through the history of this just from the points in time when you think it might work, which it may or may not. The next thing is this class that I was mentioning. This is something that was part of School of Webcraft, which Mozilla was one of the organizers of. And so the idea was to take Sketchpad and to use that as a basis for people who are interested in learning to program. My wife Liz says, isn't that a side project of your side project? I argue it's all the same side project. So here's a discussion that we were having. This was also in Etherpad. More or less everything that we were doing was in some form of Etherpad. And this is as we're taking the game of Tetris, and let me move back a little bit, and breaking it down into the more detailed concepts, and everyone started taking turns jumping in and talking through some of this. So the idea was just trying to go through the process of how you think through something like that. So this isn't actually writing code, but this is a similar process. So this is one of the lessons that JD Zamfrescu, who I co-organized the course with, who's also one of the original authors of Etherpad, had put together for the class. So here there's a combination of an explanation, here's what some code looks like, and then here's how it runs. And so there's this back and forth the whole time through on which sort of makes it nice and interactive in some ways, but it also means that below each one of these you can go back and view the source of that, which I opened up over here. So yeah, so the idea is that you can go back and forth between actually working on something visually and then editing it. Okay, so I want to show that. Here I was trying to describe how you might want to actually go about writing code. So you start with sort of an outline and you can work from there. And so the idea here was I was sort of annotating this so someone could go back through afterwards and sort of walk back through that process and understand it themselves. And at any point in time, they could pause it and see, okay, what does it look like now? Sorry, I'm doing too much at once. So let me jump ahead to the end, and you can see what this looks like. Okay, so simple little sketch there. Sometimes the discussion sort of went where we were having a conversation, and then out of the conversation we would switch to people trying out different things themselves. How do you have two balls moving at different speeds, and different people had different ideas, and so this is the process of talking through that. And a little bit more on just sort of showing the things that people have done. For anyone who's creating things, you can see what they've done and you can see who's done what. Okay, thank you.